Alright, now, so we feeling lifted in our spirits and our hearts, so we coming back. We put the second half of this on here, just to let y'all know our train of thoughts, how we go. We go in, we get on our level, and then we go in and we talk about the things that really matter in life. The issues of our heart, the issues of our day, the things that we go through. And also our hopes for the future. We talk about the past. And how we know that every moment of our past as we have lived them today, as well as the past of the people who have lived in front of us, our ancestors and the deviations, the meteors, the meteorites. We talk about them too. The suns, the stars. But we love our moons and we love our earths. We talk about all these things in order to find peace within ourselves as we walk, as we journey. We strange, we crazy, we talk about some crazy ass shit.
Yes, we do.
But we don't ever get political or harbor emotions in our hearts towards any particular issue or any particular thing, other than those things that cause us to further deviate from the love of self. And so the issues that we see personally within our lives and within the community, where we see further deviation, we had to talk about it. I guess, I mean, I have a runny nose. But, I told y'all we're getting over a cold.
She doing a lot better though.
Yeah. And that was nothing but a fluke, a glitch. But it was time for me to rest. Get rest that I should have taken. And that's another thing, we gotta take care of our bodies, as well as our minds, our hearts, and our spirits. But loving ourselves, it took me a long time, and I haven't really told y'all how me and her met. And you haven't done any videos together.
No, not really.
And so I met was on Downlink.
Shout out to Downlink.
MTV sponsored, I guess. But we met on Downlink, and I kept getting a lot of friend requests and messages with tits. I love tits. Ass. I like ass. Lips. I like lips. But it was crazy. It was like, if I'm gonna be realistic about this, how in the hell can I trust this person if they already putting their tits, ass, lips, hips, thighs, and other parts, if they would be allowed to be placed on the screen? They putting them all up on the screen, and I just
yeah, that shit is crazy. I mean, because for real, you should respect yourself a little more than that.
So I just like never responded to those inquiries. I never responded to them. I added you as a friend because that's all it can ever be, a friendship. But when she sent me a friend request, and I still had a friend request, I said I had that message that she sent to me on the internet. And that message was real simple. I saw your profile, and I thought you were very interesting. If you're interested, hit me back. You know, just something real simple. So I clicked on her profile, as I always do, as I do with every individual, because I don't judge nobody. Even if you do got the tits, hips, eyes, and thighs on your profile, I will click on your profile. But if you be like, don't be coming at me, first of all, I get my respect anywhere I go, and all you got to do is give me my respect. I got some money. If you come like that, and I'm reading your profile, and it looks like thousands of others
have also read it,
and you prostituting yourself now via the net like thousands of others, I just had to click past it. And so that's what I did. I clicked past it, you know, and I just kept saying to myself, well, if I'm gonna try again, talk to another person, then, well, you know, I just go for the gusto. Unless the person that I was currently talking to, as with many, didn't appreciate my presence, could never be in the moments, was always thinking about past experiences, but never allowing himself to ever find the pleasure in the past experiences. Even though there's pain, there has to be some pleasure in your past.
It's gotta be.
It gotta be some pleasure in your past, or you wouldn't keep doing the same shit you doing. And so they found, you know, she couldn't find pleasure. As with several of my exes, weren't able to enjoy, and they weren't able to enjoy the moments. And even in the sad moments, bring self back, or resurrect self, erect self, to a point where they can go to the gladness and now relate that gladness and then enjoy the moments that we are now sharing between us, you know. They weren't able to do that. So I clicked on the profile and I accepted, you know, and so we started talking on the phone. And the funny thing about her pictures were that her face was familiar to several other people in my current past that I've created for myself today. They were very familiar, and her voice was very familiar. It sounded like one of my auntie's voice that was familiar to me in my past. Her birthday was the same as mine, same zodiac sign as my mother. So that intrigued me because I love my mother. You know what I'm saying? We have a love-hate relationship, but I love her. And the hate is not the type of hate that we see in movies where a thin line between love and hate. We try to swallow somebody.
No.
You know, it's not that type of hate at all. It's a type of, I want better. So that is now beneath me, and you know, because my grandma taught us that each generation should be a little bit better than the next, even though she only had a 3rd grade education. So my mother rose a little bit higher, and then I rose a little bit higher, and I took it on around to another avenue. Because my grandma did have a playful nature. All of my grandmothers, I still have one remaining out of the 4. Maternal grandmothers, out of them 4 grandmothers that we're blessed to have on this side of earth. I still retain one, and she's a pleasure. I had the pleasure of talking to her, and we shared in a lot of things. I showed her some of my artwork, and we laughed about when she was holding me like this and showing me in the picture, and how I showed them to my friends. The best friend that I have in my life. And we don't mind referring to each other as friends, because she is the best friend. And if my grandmother, and that's what I had to come into acceptance of and dealing with my family and dealing with situations, was that if my grandmother wasn't accepting of me and us or whatever, then I'll come to her on her level. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that level might be. And so that level wasn't that she could accept girlfriend, but she could accept a friendship that was deep and rich and that nurtured. And so that was her level of understanding. And so when I thought about the other grandmother who had taught me, each generation should be a little bit better. They had only received a third grade education, then going to the other side, and grandmother had received a high school education, but still had a sensitivity or a sensitiveness about gay relationships. This is my friend because this is truly my friend. You know what I'm saying? So I went on with it because that's what it is. It's a friendship, and that's what we kind of build, a friendship. Not based on sexuality. There was a process where we had to go through, where we had to rid ourselves of the other past relationships, where we had to experience hurt, agony, and then we were able to build with one another. But it was only after releasing the things that had vexed us and brought us so much reproach that we were able to then build a new foundation, starting from scratch. I think a lot of people don't do that from the fear of losing the other person and having to come clean. You know what I'm saying? Having to really look yourself in the face and say, yo, I wasn't right on that shit. That girl really didn't hurt me. I hurt that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, she was acting insensitive or overly sensitive, like a bitch. But I was also a bitch in the moment that I let my oversensitivity and not allowing my femininity and the need for that other side of me to be touched, and then say she didn't understand me. So we were standing in Baltimore by the harbor, in a different area. I won't tell a specific location. I don't want nobody ruining my spot. You know what I'm saying? But it's a special spot for me for another reason. And I showed it to her because it was a place where I almost lost my life. And I felt in this moment I should re-begin my life. Start afresh and start anew. And she said to me, while we were talking, we talked about a whole bunch of things, and I told her about my past and, you know, some of the things that I had done that were great. I also told her about the things that I had done that weren't so great. And even though she heard all those things, she said, well, you know what? All I can say is I think that I deserve another chance to be loved. And when she said that, just like touched me, oh, it's so sweet. But I was standing there like,
yeah, she was. She really was.
I understand. I completely understand. But in my head, I was like,
yeah, she was standing there trying to
yeah, I was feeling it. But I was just like, because, you know, in my past experiences, I was allowing my past false ego to come back and creep in and be like, but if I show my emotions, she go take my feelings and she go kick up. You know, that's how I'm feeling.
Never.
So I just... So we talked and we walked away, but, you know, I took time and we didn't go out, you know, the very next day. We waited a few days and I invited her to a barbecue and it didn't happen, so I planned the next day, then I had it. But then it like kind of rained and then she split her pants and then we had to go back.
Oh yeah, that was funny. That was
We
funny.
had to go back to her house and get another pair of pants. Then we ended up late for my own barbecue that I was throwing and I had to ask her first date, can I put my meat in your refrigerator? I know it might sound strange, but my dad won't let me put the meat in the refrigerator because he says, you know, it's too full and we don't have room. Can I put this meat in your refrigerator? And she was like, okay. Chick asked me, can she put meat in my refrigerator on the first day? He takes me to the park and takes me to the liquor store and buys beer. But we bought the beer and we had fun. And we enjoyed the moments and she met my friends.
Very interesting.
Met that portion of my life where I was at that moment, you know. And we change, you know, change clothes, change, you know, appearances, change our minds about things. It's about evolution. And so we've been evolving together since that point on. Because of the warmth and the comfort that she brought to me. It was at a point in my life where I questioned whether or not I should have the opportunity to love and be loved again. Whether or not I was deserving. And I felt, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stand up and say, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to be that little kid in the class that raised my hand too. Knowing that in this moment, I don't know the answer, but by the time she get to me, I'm going to have the answer. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I did. I raised my hand in the moment, you know what I'm saying? In my heart, you know, I raised my hand, I lifted up that standard and said, yo, this is what I want. But I wasn't really sure. So now it's been 2 years. We've been working on being real assured.
It's been a really interesting time. I mean, she is just such a joy. And so animated. I mean, she just, yeah. But anyway, like, for real, when she was talking about just not being intimate and releasing all of those old relationships, it's just really important to do that. Because in that moment, in those moments, you can stand and take a look at self.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's hard. It's really, really hard. But like she said, self don't mean
so yeah, we did do the no sex thing while we were in a relationship together. Mm-hmm. It's possible. But it teaches you how to be a friend to one another. It teaches you how to enjoy self, as well as take time to find your own pleasures and so not get so wrapped up in one another that you lose your own individuality. Because I know I'm still a character. And believe it or not, she's a character too.
Oh yeah, I'm a motherfucking character.
Just because she ain't said that much today, don't think that she not a character, because she got some characters in there. Zoolyland. That's Zoolyland in the Queendom. And I'm the mind caresser. But this Zoolyland all day long. All day long. So, you know, just take time and get to know self, embrace self, and allow the other person to be self. But most of all, when I talked to her about myself, and she asked me why we weren't intimate on that level, you know what I'm saying? When she was able to give reciprocation back to me, and I just finally broke down and told her, yo, look, you know, kind of like a touch me not, because I ain't like everybody else. Out of all the people I've been with, yeah, I ain't like everybody else, so, you know what I'm saying? And she was okay with that. And it made me be okay with myself. But, you know, she said, you know, I told her I went through the whole thing where I was thinking about doing other things and changing my life and asking other people to help me to deceive other people and live on a different plane. And she told me, no, I don't want to live no lie. When she said that, it challenged me to say, I understand kingdom. I've lived in kingdom. But there's also queendom. Femininity and masculinity. Entangled in one body, dichotomy. So, get on your research. Start studying shit. That's all I gotta say. Peace.